This is what I get for forgetting the audio settings. I said good morning, and everyone's already muted, and I got to unmute Josh as well. Well, good morning. It's Friday, 7:05 a.m. here Pacific, 10:05 a.m. Eastern. This is the ILC live streams. We're going to be talking with my co-host Joshua Klar. Pretty good show today. Lots to talk about. And first off, let's hear from Josh. Josh, how you doing? Yeah, yeah, better than others. Today's okay. Sure. Oh, okay. Right, right, for sure. Well, these sort of things happen with kids. They just want to push your buttons and stuff like that. And I don't have kids, so but I my speaking about kids, my sister's kid, he's going to be turning 3 this weekend, I believe, if I get that right. I'm so bad with birthdays, but his birthday this Saturday, so we're going to try to do something nice where we have a cake or something, but try to keep it pretty minimal at the house, not to have a big party or anything, just immediate family, just so that he doesn't, he's at the age where he remembers birthdays now, so we don't want to make him feel like nobody remembered him. But yeah, Zoom birthday party. Well, anyway, if anything, I started gardening during this lockdown, right? And I've actually taken over my parents' patio for some extra gardening space, and that's been fun. So we're growing tomatoes over there, probably maybe a sack of potatoes at some point, just to keep ourselves busy. Have a uh, I have a note here that I cannot hear Josh on the stream. Josh, can you talk for a little bit just so we can get the audio right? Yeah, I think you're right. I think let's get these.
Didn't really have anything much important to say anyway.
Yeah. Okay, there we
Can
go. Okay, I think we
you hear
fixed
me?
the. Yes, we fixed the live stream.
Okay.
I see the audio levels correct here on
Okay.
OBS. And anyway, everyone's missed what you were talking about earlier. So, oops.
That wasn't important. It
That was
really doesn't matter.
that's the
I was
magic of.
bashing my kid.
Yeah, it's okay.
Didn't
Anyway,
have to hear that.
we've got a pretty good show today. We're probably going to go for about an hour 15 or so. And what we're going to talk about today is some of the new developments that ILC's had. We did talk a little bit about some of the things that we did, new product developments, and then I think the bulk of the talk will be today on on SQL, but how SQL for Fishbowl is going to be changing in 2020.5. So stay tuned for that. We have a lot to cover there because it's something that even for us as a company, we're gonna do our best to also figure out how to best help companies who are transitioning from uh, the older versions of Fishbowl to the newer versions of Fishbowl, and we'll be talking about that. Okay. Um, so some of the more recent announcements, we did a webinar with GMDH Streamline. They're a software company that provides forecasting solutions for the fish for actually anything really. We just happen to be their partners in for Fishbowl. We had a pretty good showing. Had just a small attendee list, less than 20, and it was fun for me, fun for well, maybe not so much fun for us. um, Putting it together was a bit challenging. We've never done like a live webinar like this. I've done even bigger presentations. We went down last year to the Fishbowl uh, user conference for Asia Pacific and Sunshine Coast, and doing a presentation to 100 people for an hour. Um, I felt like that was less stressful than the one for the webinar because uh, I'm representing two companies and myself and things like that. So we had lot of fun, a lot of good positive feedback on that webinar. We'll have a link to that in the little later in the when we update this live stream um, with the link to that video. Another announcement for the Fishbowl community. My company is now offering uh, integrations as a monthly service, right? Previously, we would charge billable hours. We'd have $100 hour software developer, and we'd have this long spec and everything. We had to spend a lot of time figuring out where the hours are going to go and make sure that we're tracking billable hours correctly and getting that invoice to the customer weekly and those sort of things. And no longer we're going to offer that. Well, we'll still offer that if the customer really wants their own intellectual property for connecting maybe Shopify, Fishbowl, and ShipStation together. If there's a really good reason for them to do that, they're more than welcome to hire us to make something bespoke for them. But even in those cases, when we're dealing with just Shopify, Fishbowl, for example, that's a very common day-to-day kind of integration. We're offering those on a monthly charge. So we have a special website where customers can see more about that page. That's not up yet, but it will be up pretty soon. And we'll be taking requests for those customers who are interested in a smaller upfront project. Because when you're dealing with maybe one site, it's pretty cheap to do the Fishbowl plugins or even our past projects for like 3,500. It can get pretty expendy when you're dealing with 2, 3, 4, 5 channels of stores, and we're already up almost for some companies the same cost of Fishbowl. So instead of doing that, we're using Microsoft Azure cloud services to host the code and the infrastructure to keep things connected, and we built out infrastructure on the Fishbowl side to make private servers communicate with the cloud efficiently and securely and transparently, so that our developers can connect basically everything that's happening on the public internet for like Shopify or Amazon or eBay into Fishbowl seamlessly, so that it just kind of just works. It's good for our developers, good for us, good for the customers. We've got like 100, no more than 100 software projects, and updating them when we're dealing with Fishbowl updates, like the one we're going to talk about soon, is starting to become a little cumbersome, very, very challenging. So we want something where we have a little more control of how the updates happen, how we can detect when updates are needed, and not have to scramble every time that we've got something going on. But anyway, those are the announcements. Josh, I want to ask you, how's your Excel class going? How's your neck of the woods?
I do well like for a couple of days. I'll get really into it and I'll get distracted, and so I work better with projects like we're like a few hours at a time than trying to do half-hour days. It hasn't been working great, but I'm going to get back into it this weekend and continue on.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
cool. Well,
yeah,
last time we talked, we were talking about how joins and VLOOKUPs and HLOOKUPs and all that kind of stuff. We're going to be
yeah,
using those skills today again. Um, and we're also going to talk about mostly the changes that are going to be happening in Fishbowl 2020.5.
right.
And if you don't have anything else to ask me about, we'll just dive into it.
No,
Let's do it.
let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, let me move my annotations here and get to my computer. Josh, I assume you can still see my computer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't. From the webinar and all these other things that we've been doing this week, we've added lights. I don't know if you can tell to the home studio here,
Well,
just to make
actually,
things.
I cannot see your screen. I see black screen.
You see Fishbowl?
Oh no, no, now I see it. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. I'm
Okay,
boring. I'm boring, man. Like I just have
okay, okay,
a black browser. In
okay,
fact,
cool.
let me switch my browser real quick
Okay.
to guest mode because I don't need my wife to be mad at me again and for accidentally disclosing our home address like we did last time.
How many
Uh,
people do you have coming over for beers?
I mean that'd be fine, but kind of let's do that at a bar if we can do that again. Okay, here we go. All right, let's go talk about what we need to talk about. So Fishbowl, we're going to the wiki, and we'll go to the release notes here. This is pretty much where we get all the gossip and the dirt of Fishbowl. Let me zoom in a little more for the audience. So Fishbowl has scheduled their release date for 2020.5. So hopefully, by me talking about it, it doesn't get pushed back any further. But they're talking about custom field changes, right? And I think I was talking to some colleagues, other consultants over the past couple of weeks, and we're all kind of like, "Whew, this is gonna be fun." And what that means that when they say custom field improvements, they're gonna be changing how custom fields work in Fishbowl, and good, bad, indifferent. Fishbowl has some motivations on their end to do this. I'm sure um, there's some developer pressures. There's also some report pressures and things like that. And as far as I know, this is going to happen. So what does this really mean? I'm going to skip some of the other points on the release notes that have been added. I'm going to go back to the bottom here where they have database changes, right? And they said it added custom field JSON field to basically all the tables and removed the following tables: custom decimal, custom integer, custom set, custom timestamp, custom varchar, and custom varchar long, and removed the custom field audit view, and an added function to help with custom field queries, custom field by name, blah 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 blah. So just some really just some basics, right? And I've got some other notes. I have to log into Slack over here, my company Slack, and and get some additional notes. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is actually show you Fishbowl standard 2020.3, the one that's been out since March, and show you the custom fields there, just so that you have an understanding where we're coming from and what it would take to go to that, right? And then we're gonna just to do some basic exploring of what those fields look like at the database level, and then also uh, at the reporting level. How do we get that in SQL, and how do we do that? And then we'll probably talk about what some of our steps as a company we're going to take to make sure that this transition is handled well for our customers. Sound good? Josh, you're not in trouble, are you?
No, what do you mean? Oh, the cops. No, this is the sounds of New York now. It's quiet, and then you hear ambulances. So it's pretty sad, but
uh,
they carted off my neighbor upstairs. She's like in her, I don't know, late
oh no,
70s.
Josh, really? Oh boy,
Yeah, but she doesn't have coronavirus. I noticed she didn't have oxygen. She just, I guess,
had
stopped
a fall.
eating. Just didn't have anybody. No, she just got depressed because she used to have a life, and she just stopped eating. And she wasn't responsive, and she had a few days not responding to people, and had to come out. And so they took her to the hospital. Hopefully, she's okay.
Well, I hope she does turn out okay. That's sad to hear
Yeah,
when neighbors have something like that going
yeah.
on. Okay, let's get to Fishbowl. So let me launch my Fishbowl client, and what I'm going to do is log into the older version of Fishbowl. And I've already set this up earlier, so hopefully this works out pretty well. And okay, let's get into it. So I've got make a test order. This is actually the database I was using for my webinar the other day. My mask manufacturing company. I made it from scratch, and I've got some custom fields, right? And we'll be, probably pulling all these custom fields, one or maybe three or so. Like, this is the text. This is the actually that says checkbox. This is a number, and what we'll be doing is just adding some custom fields value. This is a long text or examples, blah blah blah, and change the quantity and change the. I think I can do decimals here too. And let's see, $100.10, and then more text. Cool, right? Just
Awesome.
standard custom fields. Everyone is used to them. We know what they are,
Right.
and there's nothing special beyond that. So let's pop over our database system. In this case, I'm using Heidi SQL. It's a free open source MySQL database tool. Works well with Fishbowl. No problems there. And what we're going to do is we're going to join. We're going to select star from sales order, right? And I've got a fair bit of data here, and I've already had some examples here. And I've got my hospital order that I just placed. So that was I think that was a number 4. Okay, so we've got the bill to address, bill to name, all that stuff, and now I'm going to show you how do we get those custom fields, right? So in the table structure for Fishbowl, we've got custom field storage tables, right? And I just went through this with somebody else trying to explain how they worked, and they were a bit confused. So the way that it works is that we've got a custom field table that defines the different custom fields that by module, right? So in this
That's
case,
what you
I've got.
just said. Right.
Go ahead, Josh.
Okay, got it. So yeah, each line is a different module.
Yeah. So these are all. So for example, these are the custom fields I've created for the sales order module, and the
Right.
reason why we know that it's for the sales order module is because we're referencing this table ID.
Table ID.
Right. So if table ID is also referenced in this table called table reference, right? And there's that ID for sales order. Right? A lot of people kind of get confused. They're like, well, how does any of this work, right? And when you're trying to explain the context, it's yeah, Fishbowl's structured it this way so that it's simpler for being able to store data in one place. I think it's a pretty elegant design, but trying to explain it to somebody new, you got to explain 5 other things like we're doing now, right? So let's go back to the custom field table. So we have the name, we have the type. So this tells us which types we have. So type, let's say type 9, in this case is long text, right? So there's a separate table called custom field type, right? So we've got the name, we've got the custom field type, whether it's active or not, or requires an access right, and which module is associated with, like a sales order part or product or shipment or what have you. I have customers who have like 1,000 custom fields,
Wow.
and they're very useful. They're very, very useful, right?
Okay.
And the way that it works, if you go to custom field type, you'll notice that you've got the name, the description of the type, and the ID, right? What we saw earlier. But then you also have a table ID here, right? So 683.428. So if we go back to table reference, we'll see that 68 custom Varchar. Let me sort this. There we go. 683.428. There you go. Is custom Varchar long. Right. So they just have a list of what these magic numbers mean to humans, right? And they mean in this case that the storage for that data for the custom long text is actually in a table called custom varchar long, right? And if we go look at custom varchar long, we look at the setup, we see that we've got a custom field ID, right? So we know what it's for. We know the data that's for it, and we know which module ID it's for, right? So if we go look at the data, we just see that it's custom field ID 4, so we know what it is. We know who it's for, sales order ID 766, and then we have the actual data in it. So if you had checkboxes or other notes, and they for tons of different modules, this table can get very long, right? We're talking maybe thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of rows long, depending on how many custom field values you have for any given type.
Right.
Right. And it's very similar. So if you go to, for example, custom varchar, you'll notice that the only difference between varchar and varchar long is that Varchar is 130 characters. Varchar long is 128 characters.
Mm.
I wish they had like a custom Varchar ultra long. You know what I mean? Just give me like a ton of data to work with. But I think that's probably what they were thinking about with the changes that they're trying to do with Fishbowl. Not only
Awesome.
that, but we also have storage for custom timestamp, where we have one for date and time. Right? We have custom set, which is similar to custom varchar, but the idea is that custom set means only values from a drop-down list or a radio button group. Right? You
Oh,
see those custom fields in Fishbowl. So if you have like a color drop-down on the product or the part, yeah, they'll get copied into here instead.
where does it store the list?
Good question. It's there's a storage in custom list and custom list item,
Oh, okay.
right? So that's where
Cool.
they are now.
Okay.
And only that we have custom integer, which would store, as you say, numbers, integers, whole numbers.
Right.
And then we also have custom decimal, which stores, as you can imagine, decimal numbers, right? So we're talking quantities, money amounts, things like that. And custom integer would store the single count, like whole number count, and checkboxes, ones and zeros, right? So if we wanted to query that, this is my other queries that I was working on. If we wanted to query that, this is how you do that. So we would left join. In this case, let's do custom varchar long. And as a company, we like to have aliases for these things. So in this case, we'll probably give it an alias of as so long text on so long text dot custom field ID. In this case, I don't remember what it was. And so long text dot record ID equals so.id, right? So if I change my select to sales order number and so long text dot info as long text. Oops. Can I not do that? Oh yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that. That's actually
That's why we need a new version.
That's yeah. No, that's actually just
Right.
a
Okay.
keyword overlap, right?
Oh,
My
okay.
SQL was confused because I wasn't sure what I was trying to do. All right, let me just zoom this in a bit more. So in this case, I've got nothing, right? I still don't even have what I can see on screen, which is these examples, right? And that's because I don't have a custom field ID, right? So let's go get one. And let's go to custom field, data, custom field ID for long text. In this case, for the sales order module is ID 4. So we'll pack back over here and type in 4, right? And now we have it, right?
Nice.
So this has been the strategy or the style that I've been applying for about, gosh, maybe what, 10 years now. And this is our style. This is how ILC does it. We usually go by ID. If we can't go by ID, what we do is do something like this: ID from custom field, where name equals long text, right? And that also works. So depending if we don't have the customer database and there might be some other, confusion or what have you, we might switch from ID number to a query that finds a custom field ID with the same name, right? And you can imagine that this might have some problems down the road if you have the same custom field name in two different places set up in Fishbowl, right? Color, for example, could be an issue because
Oh, yeah.
you've got color on the part and you've got color on the product, and you need to know which ones you're dealing with because this custom field ID and this record ID right here are linked up together.
Oh, well.
Right. So if you for example, if I put maybe 5 in here, or no, let's say an ID that doesn't exist, I'll get nothing. Or sometimes what I've seen is like maybe it is I did put in a valid custom field ID, but in the end it's actually pulling field data from somewhere else. right? Um,
So
for
would it be
example,
smart to not to use unique names, like maybe include the table name in the
actually, yeah, that's very good. Yeah, I would do that as well. I would do
okay.
that. I'm only doing it now for because I don't remember what the name is. But yeah, if you knew the table ID,
Okay.
that way you can get very unique, right?
Okay.
You be very sure that you're getting the right one.
I'm just applying the lessons I've been learning from Excel.
Yeah,
I'm good.
cool. No, you're right on. Yeah, you'd make an additional criteria to make sure that it's unique. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
you're right. Okay, so that's cool. That's not a problem. And if we can do the same thing, but in this case, I'm actually going to be a bit lazy, and I'm going to go to my internal documentation for custom fields. And I think I've probably shown this before. Let me get this loaded up. So instead of, can I copy and paste? I should be able to. I guess I can't. Oh, you know what? I think my custom copy and paste is not working. So let me,
What would cause that?
I don't know.
Just a glitch.
Yeah,
Okay.
let me switch off the desktop here while I grab my regular browser. There we go. Being a lot more careful with my
Mm-hmm.
personally identifiable information.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Let me just close that browser window. Okay, so now we've got this new custom field I just poofed into existence.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I just copied it from my system. And so if anybody wants to be familiar with pre 2020.5 custom fields, this query has finally run out its usefulness. I wrote this like, I don't know, years ago in various different versions of it. But the idea is that I've got everything I need to know about a customer's custom fields and their structure and their configuration in one query, right? So I know the ID, I know what type it is, or the name of it, what custom field type it is, where it's stored, right? And then which module it's for, right? So if I go back into here and set up maybe a new custom field
Mm-hmm.
under part, and I call this color, and I make a new list of colors, and red, green, blue, and I just do that. And I pop back over here and run my query again, and there we go,
Mm-hmm.
color on the part table
Nice.
for a drop-down list, and you should be expecting that in the custom set table.
Cool.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So typically I'll have my support team or somebody who's writing reports like go run this query, grab a copy of that so that the report team knows what to expect in terms of the data. This sort of thing causes all sorts of confusion, right? And um, knowing the particular and I think now I'm kind of I haven't heard this from Fishbowl, but I think that back and forth that customers may have in terms of like um, this is what will happen. Oh, get the number custom field, right? Or,
Right.
um, for example, in writing, they'll type out a custom field, but they'll say the word color. Please get the color custom field. But what they really mean is they don't really mean the color custom field because what they actually set up is I don't know product color or like
Right.
primary.
You're just using it to
Something like
type.
that, right? But they'll communicate in email with what they know. It's like I know I've got a color custom field, I've set it up, but in the database, it has a specific ID and it has a specific name. Product color
Cool.
primary, and so even my team will ask, can you send me a screenshot of your custom tab, and
That was smart.
then that way we have an idea of what's going on, right? And we're not as confused. right? Now, one of the things that I noticed in Fishbowl's release notes is that custom field creation does not require a client restart. I don't know when that started happening, but I noticed that that's happening now in 2020.3. So I'll go to a regular part here. Oh, there it is. Oh, you know what? I think I know what it is. I think I know what it is. Let me add a new custom field test part. Oh yeah, it's fine.
Why did it need to?
Yeah,
Because
I don't.
because
I think maybe with the changes that they're making, because I wanted to check this out myself, and I actually got it to not load custom fields at some point, but that might be on the sales order or that might not be on the part. Anyway, um, we'll switch over to the latest Fishbowl and here in a second. Well, the the developer release of Fishbowl, and we'll take a look at what they're doing because I think that it's important for us to give some customers some guidance on what to expect. Uh, and this is a changing thing, so I can't speak to what Fishbowl's going to do. I can't speak to what all other consultants are going to do. ILC is just trying to get ahead of these custom field changes so that we know in our applications, we know in our reports, we know in our business intelligence projects um, what these will like, and I can talk to the audience about a little bit of what those early conversations have already been with some of my customers because they're not like us. They're not looking at the release notes for the latest and greatest. Even I didn't realize it until one of my colleagues had mentioned it. It's been a busy couple of weeks, and we noticed that oh wow, they are changing it. So anyway, so custom fields. This is how you would pretty much do it, right? This is all this text. So how many lines of code is this? This is like what I've selected here is like maybe 100 characters, looks like, total, right? And what I'm going to do is actually bring up the newest Fishbowl, or the trunk build of Fishbowl, probably as of last week. We were able to obtain that and show you what that's going to look like as a preview, right? This is not the final. Uh, this is not what everyone should expect, but we are, and Fishbowl themselves are not done with the product, so we're not going to review any of the other functionality that's in Fishbowl now, and we're going to avoid showing you any bugs that we might find, or just be kind to the fact that this is not released to customers, and the fact that we're only doing this so that we can educate that this change is happening, right? So I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to keep this Fishbowl off to the side here. Actually, I'm going to switch my screens a bit, and we'll launch the trunk build. It's my super special and hidden way of doing it. Not really. Okay, there we go. So let's let's give ourselves a little bit help. Let's go to company. I'm going to call this Fishbowl 2020.3. There we go. And I'm going to call this one setup company Fishbowl 2020.5. Okay, that there, perfect. Okay, so now we've got things going side by side, right? So if I go to sales order,
are they skipping 4?
Yeah, they are skipping 4.
Wow.
Yeah, they're skipping 4.
Mind blown.
Well, it's a big change. And oh, you know what? I think there's a bit of a bug here. So let me flip back off. I saw this earlier. I wasn't sure what that was about. I want to give Fishbowl the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, it's stuck. Okay, so I'm gonna. Yeah, I think I messed that up. I think I'm gonna start a new Fishbowl demo. Fishbowl live stream, demo data. Okay. Okay. So while that's happening, let's go talk about the database for a little bit, because that's really where we need to be at. So I've got this Fishbowl Demo 2020.5 table, and as you can see, this list of custom tables with the word custom in it is a lot smaller in this one. So they really did get rid of all these tables, right? All the custom decimal table's not there. The custom integer table's not there, right? So I imagine what's happening is that when they upgrade company databases, they're going to start taking these values out of the tables, and they're going to start squirreling them away in their new homes, right? So we still have custom field that tells us where these records are, right? And we still have custom field type. We still have custom list item, all these things, but we don't have where they're stored anymore. So where are they? Well, they're going to be in the tables that need them, right? So under sales order, this is the database structure for the sales order table. They've added a new JSON field called custom fields JSON, right? And if we go to the data preview for that, this is all the examples that I was trying to show you guys. And I scroll over to the right here, we've got this JSON field. And if I hit the little pop-up editor,
Oh, I see.
this is what we got. Now, in fact, I'll copy this and actually throw it online to one of those pretty print formatters. Actually, I don't like that one as much. This will work. You know what? I don't like that anyway. I think I like this one the most. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. So now we have custom fields stored as JSON, right? And what JSON is JavaScript object notation. So it's the format du jour of our common era. It's not like XML. It's not like CSVs. JSON works really well for a mix of data types, right? And as far as I can tell, what they have is they have the custom field ID number, and then they have 3 of these properties for like checkbox, the name, the type, and the value, right? And then ID2, the name, the type, and then I guess there's no value for number, right? And so on and so forth. Right? I think I picked an order with that much data. So let's go. I think one of these is a little more detailed. So you can see that they're storing. Here we go. That's the one I wanted. So you can see that they're actually storing the values even if they don't have any data, which I don't know if I agree with too much. I'm okay with not getting data back if it means not having to store a lot of data.
What's the pro and con there? It just means that you're going to waste data space.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna. But who doesn't have an extra gigabyte?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about the 90s where 500 megs was like luxurious, you know. So
What's the pro of doing it that way? Just so you know something's there.
well, yeah, exactly, because something's always going to be there, right?
Okay.
And I noticed that these custom fields I added to the system before they were they didn't exist in this database. I created them new prior to the live stream. And what's interesting is that I believe that when I added them, Fishbowl actually went back and made sure to touch all of these records and set the custom fields, which I don't know if I agree with. I don't know if I want to go back to these custom fields, especially if I have 10, 20,000 custom fields, sales orders to deal with, right? So you've got to open one, manipulate the data, and then set it back. So that I'm sure at the database level, it's totally fine. but I just don't exactly know how Fishbowl's manipulating that. I'm okay with, if there's no custom fields that actually the data is smaller. You but there could be pros and cons. I haven't heard from them specifically about that, so I'm sure we'll hear from them in their and the social media and those explanations. But let's format this. Let's JSON and let's take a look at it. Okay, so I've got formatted JSON, right? Same thing, but I've got the oops, same one. That's the one. So I've got name type value, name type value, name type value, name type value, and the pretty standard, simple stuff. Nothing too crazy at all, really. But the nice thing about this, if you can uh, consider it as a positive, is that this data structure is not at all really limited, right? So because this field that this stores this data, this formatted data, could be very very long. I believe I think there's a practical limit. I think we're still using 5.7. Let's double check that. We're using 5.716. Yep. And I think there's a limit size. Creating limits, limit. Where's the limit? Size. Okay, the space required to store a JSON document is roughly the same as long blob or long text. So let's go to long text and see what that says. See section 1.7, 11.7 of the data storage requirements. So string type, long text, length plus 4 bytes, where length is less than 2 to the 32nd.
Oh, I get it.
It is a huge amount of storage that can be done here, right? So my team, we're gonna have to brush up on our um, how to how to work with JSON, right? Well, my report developer or our report developer will probably need to learn a little more. Getting a phone call. Let me take care of that. I forgot to turn that off. I can't actually answer that phone call while on the live stream.
Yeah.
Uh, hang up. Oops. Um, and anyway, so the big idea here is that we'll be working with some of the functions here to extract, pull data out of JSON types, and we'll probably start using some of these fancy field references and go from there. And I actually have a couple examples from our friends at Fishbowl of what that looks like, and we're going to try that ourselves, right? So let's get into it. So instead of just looking at these custom fields, let's try to get a couple. In the Fishbowl release notes, they have a little function here that I believe was added called added function to help with custom field queries. Let's give it a shot, right? No harm in trying. So I've got the sales order. I think I want sales order number 1039. 1039, right? And let's make sure we got it. Okay, cool, we got it. And give myself some trace. And to access those custom fields, I think I want to work with the URL custom field. We're going to copy and paste that thing called store URL because we have it. Mm-hmm. So if we do this custom fields and then we give it the custom field name, in this case the custom field name is, I believe, what was it? URL, yeah. Okay, it's that easy, right? So now I'm going to put it to the test. I'm going to see what else is it going to do. I want to see if this custom field by name also pulls out the date in the format in the correct format. So, and I think the date one is just date. Yeah, I called it just date. Okay, I can tell that's not the actual date. You know why? because this database tool will actually format dates a bit differently. This is still text. See that?
Yeah.
So what I think I'll have to do is wrap that in a. Can I do this? I don't think I can. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Oh,
come on. Live stream's going south real quick. It's okay. It's all right. Okay. We have. Um, so now we know what these things are gonna look like. Continue application. It's okay. Come on. Come on. Oh, come on. Fine. Just restart it. So okay. So that's what we're now dealing with. So now we can work with this. So now if we're dealing with other custom field types, in this case the let's say the number field, right? In this case number. So CF number, CF uh, date, and URL. Okay. So yeah, you'll just have to notice that anything that's stored as a number isn't necessarily a number. You're gonna have to convert it to a number later, right?
mm,
So so something like maybe number cast as unsigned, then it's a number, right? Turn blue in this case. Now we know that it's being represented as a number. I don't have I haven't even tried like converting a customer's database that I know has a lot of custom fields. Some of and that'll probably be another probably update either next week or the week following. But it's going to be tough to have convert from the old structure like this, right, to the new structure like this. It's definitely simpler. It's definitely a bit easier. But we are storing everything as text, right? So because it's an unstructured format, we to make it easier. I know Fishbowl has made some design decisions to do that. So my concern, for example, is what is the performance of searching values by a certain custom field? I don't know yet. I want to try that out. I want to try that out with at scale using a customer database that has thousands of custom fields versus a customer's database that has between 2020.3 and 2020.5. That way, I have a better idea of what to expect. Our applications, because remember, this is just not reports, but our applications that use queries to access data from the Fishbowl system, we'll need to do something similar, right? We'll need to change, for example, if we're doing something like product updates on Shopify, we have to change everything again. So I do want to explain to customers that give us some time in order to prepare your Fishbowl 2020.5 migration path. I don't know. I'll have to let Fishbowl communicate what their plans are for reports and things like that for our customers. Just work with us. Just let us know what your plans are for these reports so that we can help you convert them from the old style to the new style, and you don't have to worry about what's going to happen after that. The other thing that's going to happen is what if we don't know the names, right? This function is by name. How do we handle that by ID, for example, like in the other query? You know, I only know it by ID4. I don't know it by any other structure, right? So what we'll probably do in this case, and I've got some examples here. So we'll do. I've been told we can do this: custom fields, special characters, and then what we want as CF by ID. And then I think what we do is $sign dot one dot value, and let's try that. Let's do 2. Let's do 3. Yep. Okay, it's working. Do 4. Let's do 5. Let's do 6. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we have a 6th custom field anyway, so that's why we get nothing, right? So that's pretty cool. Well, so we've got a couple of options, right? We've got it by name, by the ID number, right? So we'll as a company, let's go switch this by I think the date 3. So as a company, we'll probably do something like this, where we will put the translation logic to both keep the type and keep the references the same. So um, CF date by ID. So we'll do something like this, and keep things consistent for our customers, right? That way we know that if we convert it from a name or a date, it's going to work the same way, and we'll try to do that as best as we can manually. But I mean, I've built probably over 1,000 reports in my career working with Fishbowl. I know more than that. I know our report repository has thousands of JRXML files. So we're on our end, we're going to be a little more proactive on this, so that it's not a huge disruption to customers. If we can write some software to automatically convert the old style to the new style, we will. It's just that that might take more time than we had noticed to plan things, and plus we had other projects and other commitments for this May in order to do that. So this is if we can do something like that, that'd be awesome. If we can't, you know, uh, please be aware of that. But we will take on custom field requests for migration and updates whenever customers are ready to make those changes. Right, Josh? Do you have any questions? Are
Yeah.
you just
What's the no? What's the basic reason that you think they did this? Because I understand, okay, there could be some benefits, but it's a big change, especially for everybody that has a custom report that's going to have to go through this. So why do it in the middle of the year? What do you think the reasoning is?
um honestly, I don't think there was ever a good time to do this. I
Okay.
was aware that they were doing this as early as last year, um, and it just wasn't. I mean, I had early ideas, early communication that this was going to happen last year.
But is
Um,
it worth it? I'm saying, like, do you see a pro to it? Like, is it going to the functionality going to be that much better?
I think part of what I can think will happen is because when you're working with a JSON object, you can deal with it a lot more because you're getting all the data at once, right?
I see.
You don't have to individually join one at a time. So if you got like 50 joins, for example, because you got 50 custom fields, that may take longer to pull than um, pulling the data for one custom field and parsing it out 50 times. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So there could be benefits there that I just don't know about. But
Right.
um, my yeah, that's just because that's my biggest my. There's a couple of projects where we're looking for a specific reference somewhere, and we are expecting the custom field table like to have an index, right, so that it's quickly searchable. I don't know if you noticed in the mass company.
Yeah.
If I go to custom Varchar, because that's a common one. Let's say we're looking up um, by the info table. Um, Fishbowl has an index on the info. See this little key here?
Yeah.
So it knows the database knows how to find info columns rather quickly. There's no indexing in a JSON field, right? So there's no extra performance that the database is necessarily doing for finding a specific value, for example, like a Shopify order ID or any other references that we might add to a transaction in order to find it. So it may take a bit longer. I just don't know how much yet because when we're dealing with a small demo database like this, it's really hard to know what's going to happen, right? So that's probably my next project is to actually download a large customers database, throw it through Fishbowl 2020.5, and just see what happens after that. I want to see what the database size is like before. I want to see the database size after. I want to see what a query looks like in terms of performance before and after. So that I'll be spending some time, probably the next couple of weeks, learning that. But hey, Fishbowl 2020.5 is just around the corner. 521. That's about 20 days from now. So not a whole lot of time. But I know the Fishbowl community. I know my consultants that I know of in Australia. I know everyone who's already gone through this before. We'll handle it. It just needs to be a communication aspect to customers to say like, look, guys, don't just. I know a lot of you are on the auto update. Just be aware that if you let it auto update, you will lose your custom reports that have custom fields because those tables are not going to be there anymore, right? And you will get errors. So on our end, we're probably going to have a bit more in terms of advertisement of letting people know that, hey, if you need somebody to convert your custom fields, we have resources that we can help you with that. We might even write some automated tools that we can offer customers for free. If those automated tools are good enough, that's the other concern is that I don't want to write automated tools and them not work. So if it only works 25% of the time, I probably won't even release it. We're probably stuck handwriting and hand changing the reports. But if we get a pretty good success rate, maybe 80%, then yeah, we'd probably uh, let put up a web page where customers can upload their reports and we convert them for them free of charge. And any ones that don't convert or stop working or don't work after that, they can work with us on an hourly basis, and at least that way we narrow the complexity down to just the things that are truly take human time to work on, not the easy stuff. We don't need to take easy work. I mean, I love easy work, but um, there's I mean, look, the fishbowl industry market is that big. You know, we're dealing with a lot of customers already, so I don't want to I don't want if customers need the Fishbowl 2020.5 feature changes and improvements and bug fixes, and they're held back by reports, I don't want them to be, you know. And not only that, but we also have you won't see that here. We have customers with hundreds of data queries as well.
Yeah.
That will also need assistance, right? And it doesn't take a whole lot of time, but it's almost like copy and paste work that's just not that valuable, you know. So we'd like to be able to help customers in the next coming weeks if we can do that. Just stay tuned to the channel and to our social media, and if we don't reach you there, we'll probably put some advertisements up on how you can take advantage of those sort of things. Or if we don't have anything automated, you can still send us your report files, and we'll take care of them as well. But yeah, I think that's all I got for the live stream. Josh, do you have anything else? Do you
Yeah.
feel like you
No,
learned a
that's
lot?
great. I feel like my head's gonna explode, but other than that, no, it's interesting. Like the concepts are there. I think I have to. I don't fully comprehend, but I am getting the complexity of this, and it's a little scary. I think for the people that don't realize they're on auto update, and then one day everything stops working, that's a little scary. Maybe they can disable auto update just for this this version
I
somehow.
hope so. I hope the auto update isn't on. Um, that's probably one of the reasons why I don't like auto update is for situations like this because
Yeah,
it's a bit of a bummer if it auto updates and in the morning your reports stop working, and a lot of companies need
yeah,
these reports, or at the very
exactly.
least they need their queries for important sales and things like that. So we will be, it's ODBC, it's BI script, it's the paper reports, it's the data module queries, it's also most, if not all, of our custom applications will need to have um, some support. So our company, we're a small team, so we're not. And even when I talked about it earlier in the live stream about how we're converting to um, cloud running applications so that we can update them quicker, that is the reason. for that sort of platform, instead of having to write code that runs on your specific Fishbowl system, and then we have to call you to get access to your Fishbowl system to update it, right? I'd rather run that on the cloud, so that if something like this happens, we know that you've updated. We then be a lot more proactive to go, okay, now we need to switch over this application to version 1.3 that has support for the new custom fields. So that's the sort of thing that we'd like to do, and I just wanted to share that with everybody here on the live stream, so that we just have a good understanding of what to expect. That's all. That's all. That's all I wanted to do this time.
Okay.
All right, Josh. Well, I'll talk
Right.
to you. Let's. I think we can end the live stream today on that note, and we'll stay tuned on some new updates and questions. One last thing, just to pay the bills. We've got the iReport. Sorry, the Fishbowl. The ILC report store at store.israellopezconsulting.com. Check that out. Love to see what you guys think of some of the products we're loading up there now. We're about to finish some dashboard widgets. Just to pop back over to the screen, dashboard widgets are going to be these things that we add to the dashboard with graphs and charts and things like that of a variety of KPIs for Fishbowl in sales, purchasing, manufacturing, accounting, that sort of thing. Those are getting developed now with our report team, and we're going to be getting those onto the store so that people can consider that and add those to their Fishbowl platform. Okay. Anyway, ending it here for today. Thank you for joining, and we'll all talk to you soon. Stay safe and healthy out there.
Great. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.